Thank you very much to CESRAN and the Honorable Chair and the panelists, please. My name is Mohammad Arif Khan. I'm from Department of International Relations, Federal University of Arts, Science and Technology, Karachi. The topic of my presentation would be climate change is a non-traditional security threat, regional cooperation within South Asia. First of all, we will talk about that what is climate change. The fifth assessment report of International Panel on Climate Change described that climate change took place as a consequence of anthropogenic activities. A change of climate that is directly or indirectly related to the human activity, which alters the composition of the global atmosphere in addition to natural climate variability over comparable time periods is known as climate change. Now let us we have a look of what is the concept of security. As a concept, security has been interpreted in many different ways. Paul D. Williams argued that security is a fascinating concept and is often referred to as an essentially contested concept. Anything or phenomenon that has the potential to force a nation to change its core values and way of life is a security threat. One of the core functions of a state is to provide security to its people. Traditional threats to states arise from military capability of other states. However, in the non-traditional realm, and the threats are ubiquitous, complex, wide-ranging, and often intertwined factors. Security remains pivotal to the study of international relations since its beginning as a discipline of studies. During 20th century, security remained state-centric, that is, military security only. To ensure own survival, there has been unrestrained quest for more resource, resulting into colonization of weaker nations and territories. This unending race accused irreparable damage to the environmental because large amount of resources were consumed and greenhouse gases released to the atmosphere. It also resulted into unsustainable development. Security studies during the Cold War remained under the influence of scholars and analysts who focus on military statecraft only. The concept of security has far too long been interpreted narrowly as security of territory from external aggression, as a protection of national interest in the foreign policy of a country, or as global security from the threat of nuclear attack. Now we have a comparison of traditional security threat versus non-traditional security threat. Traditional security threat enables, in the wake of end of Cold War, given the increased effects of globalization and interdependence, various scholars have conceptualized the concept of security. Traditionally, the subject of security has been related to realism. However, realism with the state as its referent defines security quite narrowly. When we look at the non-traditional security paradigm, the late 20th century has seen a rise of prominence of non-traditional security issues. Common security practices are the use of force, threat of use of force, and balance of power. Realists consider environmental issues as a matter of law politics. Traditional security threats, when we talk about traditional security threats, it encompasses the military enhancement, the military buildup, making more and more alliances, security boundaries, territorial integrity, territorial disputes, military security threats within the state boundary itself. And when we look at the non-traditional security threat, environmental security, that is climate change, food insecurity, water insecurity, health insecurity, energy crisis, and non-military security threats. Now we have a move forward. Is climate change a threat to security of the state in the context of Copenhagen School Theory of Securitization by Barry Buzan and Oliver? According to Buzan, security is about survival. Besides, they argue it is when an issue is presented as an existential threat to a designated referent object. The Copenhagen School framework identified 5 general categories, that is the military, economic, environmental, societal, and political security. The Copenhagen School therefore focus on the multi-sectoral approach that move away from traditionalist conception of security. The 4 out of 5 sectors of security are non-military in itself. In addition to widening the concept of security, the Copenhagen School deepens the concept by adding threats from non-state actor as well. Barry Buzan, in his book People, States, and Fear, undermined at least 2 of the 4 of traditional security studies. He advocated in a quite convincing manner that security was not just about the state, but it related to all human collectivities as well. Barry Buzan has argued about 3 schools. First is traditionalists who retain military focus of security. Second school is wideners who extend the range of security to include issues beyond military as well. Third, school is critical security studies will question the way framework of security has been conceptualized. Environmental security falls in the domain of non-traditional security and serve to widen and deepen the concept of security. It broadens security agenda by focusing on the risk other than the war. Climate change was one of the problem of environment which impacts the entire globe, but the effects, however, may be uneven in different parts of the world. Now let us we have a look of regional cooperation. Regional cooperation between neighboring countries refers to a wide variety of forms of collaboration ranging from informal cooperation, setting up joint project example to build common infrastructure, coordinating policies and regularly framework to shaping joint policies and institutions. Regional organization like in the case of the European Union or intergovernmental organization, where countries do not most common form of cooperation, for example, in the ASEAN and SAARC. Advantages and disadvantages of regional cooperation. When we look at the advantages, it encompasses regional integration, it enhances the trade volume, it results into economic development, create more jobs and employment, a greater consensus on different issues, and political cooperation as well. When we look at the disadvantages, so it lowers the sovereignty of the states, shift of employment in if industries suffers. Now, let us we look in it the concept in the context of security threat. Climate change is an existential threat, and the growing literature for discourse on climate and security. This section look at the response of relations in South Asia toward the security threat of climate change. The climate change response is a national strategy to tackle climate change is spearheaded by UN. The essence of domestic debate in South Asia concentrated on the responsibility of nation based on common but differential responsibility, developmental goals, cost of cutting greenhouse gases emissions, and adaptation. South Asian countries have taken policies, measures of national level and tried to cooperate at regional as well as international level. At a normative level, most of South Asian countries see climate change as a threat to their national security, but the country positions show variation as well. Challenges and hurdle for cooperation in South Asia under the climate change conundrum. Maldives fighting climate change is a fight for existence and consider climate change as a threat to the rights and security of everyone on Earth. That's why they had a meeting of cabinet in 2009 under the sea in order to make the world realize that climate is a very big problem for Maldives. Climate change through the prism of UN negotiation considered as an environmental issue. India's position on climate change at national and international level has been conflicting. In fact, National Action Plan on Climate Change 2008 of India is conspicuous by its absence to even mention the term security. Indian representatives from time to time have like USA and UK to label climate change as a threat to international peace and security, which needs to be considered under the ambit of Security Council. Bangladesh has advocated a supporting approach to considering the security implications of global warming. Climate policy of Pakistan clearly considered climate change as affecting the security, especially in the context of water, food, and energy, and has emphasized international and regional cooperation as well. How climate change could be an opportunity for regional cooperation within South Asia. The general acknowledgement and policy stand regarding climate change and security in the region has not been translated into political policy actions. Climate change is related as a major environmental threat. The major apparent concern identified by the state in the region is the increase in the frequency of floods or droughts and energy security. Climate change is a security threat which fulfills all the above characteristics and cannot be addressed by states alone. After the formation of SAARC, there has been cooperating among states to address climate change, though there are differences between states and other issues. SAARC countries have generally cooperated with each other at regional level and also global level in the issue of climate change. Since 1987, heads of states and government in SAARC regions have retreated the importance of addressing the environment issue by cooperation. To assess the status of environment and the effect of greenhouse gases on the region, two assessments have been done. They were done by the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation Integration in 2012. How the slides are continue, how it can be an opportunity. States in South Asia have thus tried to cooperate with each other and have often talked in one voice against climate change. The climate change threat has the possibility to bring more cooperation among the states than conflict. The problem of climate security in South Asia can be approached from different perspectives, but developing cooperation in various administrative spheres will help address some of root causes and support frameworks for managing and resolving climate change consequences before they escalate into security threat. It is also important that any initiative to bring the regional agencies together should not be aimed of fashioning military alliance, but at beginning in transparency and confidence building measure as well. Dialogue, transparency, information sharing, capacity building, confidence building measures, and asymmetric reciprocity are at the heart of the cooperative security approach as well. Now, there are some recommendations. Creation of multilateral South Asian Climate Forum consisting of expert and policymakers to discuss security implications and cooperative mechanism. Holding of an annual conference on climate change cooperation within South Asia. Transfer and share technology, knowledge, and experience among South Asian economies to develop a holistic response on issues like flood control, GM foods, for food security, etc. Joint seminar workshop on climate methodologies and approaches, joint multilateral disaster relief operations, legal and policy level cooperation. India has released its direct policy response to the climate change in the form of National Action Plan on Climate Change. Other countries can share and learn the positive features of the policy as well. Certain geographical regions have a special significance in terms of climate change. Himalayan mountain region contains high altitude glaciers which act as a source of water for countries in South Asia and is predicted to be facing great threat as a result of glacial melt. A special cooperative mechanism need to be envisaged to protect Himalayan ecosystem, create a climate change and food security network in South Asia. Thank you very much.